it just goes to show you that, man, it's either what you can handle, what you can't handle when it comes to Kanye, and where's your limit as far as a person. But as far as being a musical genius, I can vouch for that. I will vouch for that. I don't think nobody, that listens to music would say that. Musical.
One of my favorite Kanye albums, Kids See Ghosts, they kind of highlighted that. And I like that little journey that he went on with Kid Cudi and showing the backside of how that music was created. And then, like I said, it was kind of the people who was there, 808 and Heartbreaks, a lot of his little music, him getting back to those group, had Cudi follow him that time frame. And you still seen the sparks him getting off sometimes, but it seemed like from that documentary, they was always able to talk to him. Cudi wasn't disrespectful and just filming all this and just trying to get the salacious little stuff. Welcome back, people. This is Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. I'm your boy, Mr. Prez, and with me always,
it's your boy Cash, aka Exec P. What's happening, good people? What's going on, man? What's going on, man?
Hey, it's all good, Cash. Before we get too far into this, for the new people joining us, can you please enlighten them on who we are and what we do?
All right, man. I'm gonna let these fools know. We're about music, sports, entertainment, culture each and every week. Artists, mainstream, underground, overground, middle ground, whatever, wherever you want to put them, we have somebody on the podcast and introducing you to new music, as well as covering music that is dropping out on all of the major DSPs. We also have other people that come on as far as entrepreneurs and things of that nature, people of the culture, where we talk about topics relevant to what we talk about, which is mainly music, sports, and just, up here in your mental. So if that's something that you guys can get into, and gals, definitely give us a subscribe, thumbs up, wherever you're watching or listening, and leave a comment, man. Let us know how we doing. But that's what you can get each and every week, high quality podcasting.
Yes. And if they don't know, I think this is episode 151. We've been doing this for a minute. Back catalog is filled of gems. We had some, I think we got a couple of them out there, certified classics, some revisits that we did. If you want to go back and revisit those classics with us as we go down and walk those and talk about those albums. Previous albums as they was released throughout the year. If you remember when they was released, hey, go back and listen at that and see if it kind of lines up. But if you don't want to go back to those specific dates, and I would suggest you go back and listen at our annual wrap-ups. Those usually have our top 10 with a couple bonuses that we have up in there that we speak on all the albums that we thought was great that year. And I'll give you a little history on how we rate things and talk about things here. We started off the past 3 episodes talking about this Kanye. We're going to start off this episode talking
Kanye.
About the Kanye.
Let's
start with Kanye. Episode 3, kind of wrapping it all up. You seen it? Did you watch it on the first day it came out, or did you wait a couple days?
Oh, yeah. I watched it immediately as soon as it came out. That was probably one of the first things I did on Friday when I had a chance to just chill out and, after the kids laid it down. And yeah, man, just like a kid in the candy store, man. Hip hop documentaries and anything hip hop related, man. If it got some real good production value, I'm in. So yeah, man. But that's where I was, man, on Friday watching it. So amazing way to wrap it up.
Yeah, as you know, I was traveling. I was going from one spot to the next. So I only had like a day and a half with the family. So I kind of held off on it, did the family time, gave them their time that they needed for the week and stuff like this. But I was able to watch it on this plane trip, and I'm glad I did. Fresh on the mind it was a good one, man. I think they ended it as good as you could.
With jam packing all of that. You know what I mean?
With all the crazy, and that's what we was talking about. They tugged at our nostalgia at the beginning of those first 2 episodes, giving us that early Kanye coming up, him versus the music industry, making a shift in the tone of music and how you can come out and rap. You don't have to be a drug dealer. You don't have to be like, you could still fit in there, and he kind of bridged the gap, like he was talking about. He kind of bridged the gap between the two. And got him to quit looking at him as just a producer. Producer is what he was doing, but I think it was out of necessity. Like, he learned that portion because I don't think if he was just a rapper, he wasn't going to get anybody to make beats for him. It wasn't going to go into his style into his flow. So I think that was very necessary at the beginning, and and then now we on to this right here, and this would be the tumultuous period of Kanye. This is where his mom died. He was drinking heavy. What he did on the past couple those music award shows with Taylor Swift and Beyonce, him on his concerts, going on the rants, getting labeled bipolar. He started taking the pills. He talked about his Percocet usage and stuff like that from the jaw and everything. It was the political aspects and his rants and stuff that's going on. And at the tail end, I think even Cootie was just like, man, like, this ain't, I don't know what this dude, when he was sitting with those realtor dudes at the end on that Dominican Republic, I was just like, what in the world is this dude talking about? He was just on some, I'm deciphering my alien though.
It was half truth though. It was half truth as far as no. What I'm saying is what he was saying as far as, damn, you made me forget, but he was saying something to the fact that damn, I lost it.
Okay. We'll build back up to it. But those are the things. This was, like I said, the tumultuous here. But he started off, with still talking about his ascension. I think they was talking about his sophomore album. That coming out critically acclaimed as well. And him winning all the Grammys and stuff again. And that's kind of how the episode started off. So what was your thoughts on that portion? Was you still in with Kanye at that point, or could you start seeing it then?
I didn't mind it then because this was just him on another level as far as just his ascension. Like, he's always talked about it and always been like an asshole and arrogant, but it just leveled up with the Taylor Swifts and, George Bush don't like black people and all that stuff. It just elevated over the course of the time. So as long as it was positive and it wasn't like nothing that he really was hurting anybody, of course, being a narcissist and an asshole isn't cool. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I wasn't super mad. It wasn't until, you got to the point where he was doing shit with no rhyme or reason as far as the MAGA hat and just things of recent times, you know what I mean? And also just like, losing his way after his mom's passed away, you know what I mean? Like you said, with the drugs, with everything that was going on as far as him ascending and wanting to do the things that he wanted to do in terms of fashion, in terms of, all these different places he wanted to touch, he started losing touch with the people that really cared about him or that wanted to see him do better for himself, you know what I mean? Like, it was dope to see that whole evolution as a person because, I mean, it's life, man. It's life at the end of the day. And, you got to see him going through fatherhood and how fatherhood changed him and kind of at least got him back right for a certain amount of time. And then you also get to see what a lot of our folks go through. Like, it's funny when people talk about, what is he doing this Jesus thing for? This, the music or the Christian-based music and all that. But I had to laugh, President. I thought about this coming up the steps before we pod. How many people do we know in our friends and family where they be reckless as hell their entire life? Then all of a sudden, they saved. and they done some of the wildest shit, like stole out of grandma's house, out of somebody's purse, sold the house for, whatever. Like, it's been some wild shit that has happened inside of our families to where, like, people who haven't been bipolar or whatever mental disease they suffering from, or lost a child and haven't been right since. Like, it's a whole lot of different things to where people go ahead and get saved. So, but it's the whole person thing, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that person is love. People do got love for Kanye, and it just goes to show you that, man, it's either what you can handle, what you can't handle when it comes to Kanye, and where's your limit as far as a person. But as far as being a musical genius, I can vouch for that. I will vouch for that. I don't think nobody, that listens to music would say that. Musical. musical genius, not a genius.
That's what I'm saying. I'll let you finish, and I'll get off my.
But I think people could vouch for that. Like Pablo was probably the last time where I was just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like where I love the life of Pablo, me personally. And I went back to it, and it sparked me to make a playlist. So I took 5 songs from every single Kanye project that I enjoyed, even the ones that I didn't enjoy at the time. You know what I mean? And just put something together. And I was like, this man has a fucking.
You found 5 joints on Yeezus?
No, the Yeezus wasn't my thing. The Charlie Wilson, that's all I talk. Bound to fall in love. That's all I got. That's all I got off that. Maybe Blood on the Leaves. Maybe Blood on the Leaves was the only.
What was the one that way it was about slaves? Like it was something.
New
like,
Slaves. That's on that one.
New
too.
Slaves. That was a good one.
New Slaves. So I think I added that too. So I just made a random playlist and just was listening to Kanye all weekend just because I wanted to hear some of that old Kanye. You know, especially when he did the freestyle at the Madison Square Garden, it kind of took me back to. I was like, man, we hate the narcissist, but we love when he's a narcissist too. Like, you know what I mean? It's like gift and a curse.
Like
man.
I said, that's what he came in as.
Gift and a curse, man. So excellent way to jam pack all of that information into an hour and 45 minutes, I think, episode. So man, hats off to Cootie, man, like for capturing 20. Yo, bro, it's been 20 years since he came on the scene. That's crazy, man. Like I didn't realize he'd been in the game that long until they kept saying it time and time and time again. And I was like, I didn't want to accept it, Prez. I personally didn't want to accept it because I'm old. You know, that means I got to accept I'm gonna make it about me, just like Kanye. I'm gonna be a narcissist here. Makes me feel old, man. It makes me feel old as shit, but fucking damn good documentary, man. Like this is a doc I would probably it got so much replay value, man. So much replay value. But what was your take on the doc overall, or just some key parts that you found interesting?
So I thought, like, looking at the documentary, because this is final episode, so looking at it in totality, right? I think it showed a good point of him going and leaving with the people from his city, having those people that he'd known pretty much that whole period that he was like kind of chasing a dream. Cootie being one of them, you know, asking him to do the documentary, going on this whole little journey with him. First, you see him go through the process of making that first album, starting to work on that second album, and he was right there with him. But after that second album is kind of when he fell back, the team kind of started to grow a lot more. Thought processes just starting to flow. Like I feel like he slowly lost those people who would check him. But the one thing that he kept constant was his mom up in there. And his mom would kind of check him. But minute he had already kind of pushed away from like Cootie and all them, like, and everybody else that was surrounding him. It was all the new people that he kind of picked up, but he had his mom still there. And then once the mom was out the picture, it seems like from this documentary, I'm just saying from the documentary, he kind of went free fall, you know what I mean? And he was just going in any direction, and nobody was kind of checking his personality, checking in on Kanye and seeing how he's doing. Not asking him, is he grieving properly and stuff like this? Because he kind of lost himself in the music and everything, right? So then you seen his music slowly stray further and further away from the essence of what Kanye was. And then as they seen the visual breakdown and the strain when it was too much, when he having his complete collapse and he getting checked into the mental hospital and stuff like this. I liked how all those friends and everybody kind of linked up and went and visit him where he was at. They didn't kind of just say, man, you crazy, but they kind of slowly narrowed it back down on, you know, keeping them kind of focused a little bit. And now you're starting to get that music that you kind of love and back to it. And one of my favorite Kanye albums, Kids See Ghosts, they kind of highlighted that. And I like that little journey that he went on with Kid Cudi and showing the backside of how that music was created. And then, like I said, it was kind of the people who was there, 808 and Heartbreaks, you know, a lot of his little music, him getting back to those group, had Cudi follow him that time frame. And you still seen the sparks him getting off sometimes, but it seemed like from that documentary, they was always able to talk to him. Cootie wasn't disrespectful and just filming all this and just trying to get the salacious little stuff. He turned the camera off like a true friend. They don't need to see this. Let's talk and get Kanye back to Kanye. And when he's back to Kanye, let's flip the camera back on. I really do appreciate that look at it.
Good to highlight that. Man, because between the kids he ghosts, and that's why I was like, damn, man, like when Kanye just said what he said about Cudi in present day, it's kind of sad to see because, with them both sharing a similar story of depression, of anxiety, and just a lot of other mental health triggers, it was just sad to see that they fell out recently publicly. But, with Kanye, man, I don't think a lot of people take certain things what he do with a grain of salt, and there's always a way you could come back because maybe he wasn't on his meds. Maybe, he was, with something else, man. So, but yeah, I definitely like them showing us when he was on and not off. You know what I mean?
But I did like how they highlighted a little bit. He showed that like when he get in these other circles, and you could tell. I don't know if those people just was trying to use him as they were trying to tell him like, hey, yeah, couldn't you see a church over there? You don't know what Kanye was like. And then they just let him continue to talk crazy. And that's when
just listening.
Cootie like turned it off. But it was just like, you can tell those yes men up in there that just was trying to take something from him instead of like, checking him a little bit. I mean, because he started off with the bad ego. You know what I mean? That can only... if you allow it, it can just get worse and worse for me, and that's kind of what showed over that time frame. But I think he kind of highlighted that real good. And I don't know who his little spiritual lady or who his publicist, the lady that was always sitting down with. I'm like, where did she come from? And she was in like
every scene.
I don't know where she came from, but I'm like, you're just like everything like, oh, let's sit down, let's meditate and all that. I'm like, when the hell who is this lady?
Who is this calm ass white lady that just come out of nowhere and just put the zen and shit, the sprinkles and just give I got the perfect elixir to get Kanye back the way he need to be.
All right, I'm glad you caught that. I wasn't the only one. But then, yeah, it still kind of showed like I think how he wrapped up and he came back to him, and they finishing up that process. Seemed like he went a little bit back to his essence. I know how I feel about Donda. I still feel the same way. That documentary did not change my opinion on all that. But like I said, I do like what Donda 2 is coming out with, and I'm looking forward to that music. So
overall, man, in recent memory, as far as docs go, man,
must watch. Any hip hop head, it's a must watch. If love them, hate them, whatever, you got to see this side of it. You got to be able to see, the whole time frame. You can get gems on how he came in, changed the game. You can get notes on just being determined, being that type of that drive that you need to achieve things. Musically, how you can take your artistry and take it into these different realms, because it starts showing his, going into fashion and everything else. He had that vision for that long ahead of before anybody else wanted to give him credit for it, and kind of mixing that and making all that work. On that sense, the dude's a genius.
Absolutely, man. And just like, yeah, it took a lot away from him, man. The perseverance through personal loss and continuing to work through it is like, man, just, you could tell he loves this, man. Like, music is truly his refuge. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of people say it, and you get where they coming from, but like, just the ability to just go right back on the road after your rock passes away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it blew my mind, man. I was like, I don't know if I would have the mental capacity to do that, to continue on, regardless of how many shows. Like, I don't think anybody would have faulted him for, taking a couple months off to just kind of collect himself and get back to where he needed to be. But he pushed through, man. And, true artist sharing his pain in real life, man. So excellent doc. Y'all go check it out. Netflix has some dope hip hop docs, man, like over the last couple of years. So y'all check it out, man. Definitely a watch and a rewatchable for sure.